There have been so many instances where I could have cut drama videos about how much of a piece of shit he is and why he got banned a million times over.
Is this just who you are genetically, or are you running from something? This is not childhood stuff like trauma.
It's all sorted and done.
You figured it all out?
Yeah.
There's something about you that like sets people off in like a weird way. It's almost like uncanny valley level. I think it's a very strange thing for a person to say, I'm really grateful that my parents didn't have time for me.
I don't choose my family. Why would I feel some special fucking bond with them? Like, fuck that shit, dude. I don't know who chooses who the fuck I'm born with. Why the fuck would I value that connection? I don't believe in unconditional love. Like, I don't rely on it or give it to anybody. You know, if Nathan grew up to be like a serial rapist or some shit, I wouldn't fucking love him. Fuck that. Like, toss him to the fucking jail, leave him forever.
There's something incredibly visceral and emotional to people's responses to you. And I think they're picking up on something.
What people recognize, although they might not be able to articulate it, is that you're fundamentally nihilistic.
This is what happens when you deep dive into philosophy. I don't think he is deep dove into philosophy. I think that him being a self-described egoist is just a self-serving way to say that, like, even if I'm hypocritical, it's ultimately for my own personal ends. It's a neat little way to close the loop. It's just trying to rationalize being a narcissistic sociopath who doesn't really care about anything. He's trying to debate lord a personality disorder or rationalize a personality disorder. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people who also think that this is cool. It's edgy and cool. Hasan is constantly lying to you. He's a fanatic, spreading misinformation and doing Hamas propaganda. See, if there weren't other people who also weren't into, yes, superficial philosophy, okay, and think that like he is, you know, bravely defending things that they consider to be important to defend, like white people being able to say the N-word and stuff, he wouldn't have such like fanatic members of his fan base that take it to lengths that are unimaginable. Like things that his fans have done for the past 5 years to this community, to members of this random community for the crime of like even talking in here or anything like that. If they were truly well-adjusted individuals, I don't think that they would be doing this shit. They'd just be living their own lives. But instead, they're out here fighting battles for their favorite content creator who doesn't know they exist, who will never really care about them.
You started to really like focus on being more like Cloud and these other like male role models who were like emotionally suppressing, and then you kind of became this self-reliant human being.
Thank you, May Poontang, for the 10 community gift of subs.
Why do you think everything is so transactional, homie?
You just said you didn't want to have that conversation. Why did you have it then?
Because he's my friend. And
so then you did want to have that conversation.
Oh my god, dude. You are fucking awful, dude. Holy shit.
Like if I made a joke that offended you and you communicated that to me, I would make a great effort as your friend to deter from doing that publicly and privately, and a genuine attempt to reform for the betterment of our friendship, because I like you.
This is from when he thought that I had told Trihex to be upset about him saying that he says the N-word in private all the time.
Your emotional interpretation of anything that happens is always yours to own. I can never tell you how you should or shouldn't feel about a particular thing.
A psychopath will gain short-term advantage at the cost of long-term relationship. For example, if you're disagreeable, like you are, by the way, your proclivity, if you went wrong, would be to go wrong in an antisocial and psychopathic.
I compared what his fans are trying to do to convert people into cult-like manners, like Mormons knocking at your door and telling you this guy's better. I don't care. Please stop trying to convert me. Yeah, I don't think that, like, I don't think his fan base understands that, like I'm sure that I have obviously parasocial fans. Of course I do, right? But for the past 5 years, at least, like a part of the reason why I never weaponized my much larger fan base against him was specifically because I thought that there was nothing to gain out of that. Like there's nothing to gain out of that. I think it's unproductive. It's unhelpful. I think he saw my lack of interest in engaging as proof that he was right somehow, or that I was afraid of him. You know what I mean? I also found it to be just kind of gross. You know, rolling in the mud makes you, in that circumstance, no different than a pig. Any one of your fans who hate watch D like his fans do is shot too, to be honest. Exactly. Are his fans trying to convert via proselytizing D, or by belittling the views so that you turn to D? I think it's more so, I mean, it's a bit of both. On the one hand, they, I'm sure, do plenty of work to try to make him look good. And on the other hand, it's mostly attacking his enemies to bring his interlocutors down, bring his enemies down to the best of their ability. He saw your lack of engagement as a sign of his impotence. That's why he hates you, because you make him feel powerless. I think that's what it was. But the real reason, especially as of late, that I no longer had a communication blockade was more so because of his unimaginable defense of Israel's genocide. Like that was, there have been so many instances where I could have cut drama videos about how much of a piece of shit he is and why he got banned a million times over, whether it be his incredible defense of what's his face, the dude in Kenosha. Oh my God, I'm forgetting his name now. Kyle Rittenhouse. Thank you. Demanding that white supremacists drive their cars over BLM protesters. All of the hours and hours of like his community hunting down basically trans content creators or anyone he has ever debated, no matter how small. So many different instances of toxicity, so many instances of his community, which I'm sure are currently watching, that open up new accounts on Twitter to literally just restream my stream and enjoy it, I guess. Whenever you see a shit ton of people in here that are like saying the same things over and over again, and you're like, what the f going on? It's usually because someone created, one of his fans opened up a new Twitch account so they could restream my channel, and they're just in there watching, like a couple hundred of them at a time. It's very obsessed. It's, cyber stalking. It's weird as hell. They literally are like door-to-door salesmen. I see their comments on YouTube under any comment praising you. They'll be like, you should check out D. He's like a Samba better. Yeah.
Direction.
You have a track record for disrupting a lot of other people's lives.
Narcissism, Machiavellianism, that's manipulativeness. Psychopathy, that's predatory parasitism.
We're a bit Machiavellian, a bit psychopathic.
And those culminate in sadism.
Because he's your buddy too.
Do you ever see his obsession ending? No, I don't. He spent years and years cultivating a Hasan community. Like that's his most consistent position. Every other issue he's gone back and forth on, but I generate a shit ton of revenue for him. And it doesn't matter what someone's like personal political background is. He has literally collaborated with Nazis straight up. Like that's not even a secret. That's not a joke. He's had like pedophile Nazis on his stream, like Sam Hyde, man obsessed. Yeah. To talk about how he wants to kill me and shit. You know what I mean? Like there is no length he won't go to. So,
I had a very strange relationship with my grandma. She had weird problems. She would buy a dog and she would like kill it in like a year. And she did this like 20 times. She did this to 2 dogs that me and my little sister were like very attached to. I remember obviously being incredibly upset when that happened because they were like the 2 dogs that I liked the most. But then after that, I kind of stopped caring so much about each individual dog because I knew that it had like a 12-month timer on it basically.
The shredder thing's really been hard.
Wait, how long? Oh wait, hold on. Careful. When I talk about animals, I get sociopathic, so I'm not even going to talk about this. Never mind. You should get a pet. I would have a pet. I think cats are really easy. Cats and dogs. Pets are good ways to build your social media feeds too. Cats are such an easy way to like make content.
Why do you think everything is so transactional?
And if you're disagreeable, the place you'll go if you go badly is in the psychopathic or antisocial direction. And there are environmental determinants of that to some degree. They are often betrayed.
She did this to 2 dogs that me and my little sister were like very attached to. I remember obviously being incredibly upset when that happened.
So I just watched this and I was like, brother, what am I associating with?
I don't know if I can associate with you because it does seem disingenuous of me to be around someone who condones that kind of behavior. Like at this point, I'm just asking for like an ounce of empathy here.
I don't know who the this Caranthos guy is at all, and I don't want to know, okay? But the other clip is from the podcast that he had with Trihex. He's a speedrunner, friend of the show, and a long-term content creator on Twitch, on this platform. The conversation that they're having right there came after Destiny openly stated his desires to keep saying that he says the N-word in private, to which many people tried to explain to him, myself included, that like that is a tacit admission and an endorsement of being able to say the N-word as a white guy. Even if you were to say it, you probably shouldn't say that you say the N-word publicly and defend it publicly. This led to the N-word manifesto. This led to their podcast falling apart and the podcast falling apart and then the N-word manifesto being written. Yes. And also that relationship falling apart, which he still to this day and his fans still to this day claim I was the reason why that relationship fell apart. Like an adult black man had to be told by another white person to be offended by his podcast co-host defending a white person's right to say the N-word. They also still say you agree with them on that point, which is literally untrue. I know, which is kind of crazy, but it goes into the cognitive dissonance demonstrated by his fan base, where they think that I agree with him on this front because he said that, what if I were on the International Space Station in the vacuum of space? Do you think that me as a white guy saying the N-word in that hypothetical would have damaging consequences? To which I said, no, in that extreme hypothetical, it would not have damaging consequences. And his fans personally thought that that was a tacit endorsement of his position overall. Destiny also publicly still uses the N-word to this day, obviously. So he's still fighting that brave battle. But of course, the reason why many people love this shit online personally, because they also need someone to contextualize and justify it.
We've been doing the DT podcast now, and this will be, I think, episode 32. I've tiptoed in a lot of areas to make sure that I didn't come off as inconsiderate. As far as our pending one on open versus closed relationships, I wanted to make sure that you were cool with it, because I had heard some memes about you were now in an open relationship and that maybe things aren't going so well.
He was like, just don't bring up my wife. Never spoke about her.
So, Destiny, I'm going to kind of give you, and maybe you've sort of figured out my punchline. So I think that early on, you experienced a lot of emotions like a kid normally would. Your emotional needs were probably not met. Somewhere along the way, you probably had, and you remember some things, you don't remember others. But I think the grandmother example is a prime example. You learned the very important lesson that emotions are a fucking waste of time.
It's like how they say you claim you're just white using a clip where you say I'm white, then cut as you continue. But lots of people see me as Muslim when they learn my name, ignoring the other 50% of his replies saying it's stupid to call a Turk white. Yeah, if you're just motivated by pure resentment and anger, you can, and especially if you consider me to be true evil, ontologically evil, and any matter of hatred or cyber stalking or character assassination with clips out of context is justifiable in that regard, because you're ultimately taking down someone who is truly evil.
To appeal to your humanity. This is supposed to be your man's. This is supposed to be your friend. Now, regardless, okay, you're right. I don't know you, but this dude does know you. This is supposed to be your people. If you treat your own people like that, God, who else do you treat like that? But you have no empathy, clearly, and you have.
What are you talking about, D, that brought us up? Someone said this maybe explains what his major motivation is for why he's defending Israel, but I don't think so. Like I said, I think it just comes from the fact that he loves debating. And he is pretty decent at it, especially on issues that require someone to talk about really awful shit. If it's an issue that is very emotional, very passionate, he can argue on either side of it. This is how he makes his money. This is how he makes a living. It's like a debate mercenary. My ex was obsessed with Destiny and would just bring you up for no reason all the time. Did you see what Hasan said? No help. Yeah. You literally just read the Wikipedia every debate. It's not just about going to Wikipedia and reading a Wikipedia. It's about assuming a position before having all of the information readily available. It's about making post hoc rationalizations after you have made your position be known in a really extreme way in most instances, because he loves being edgy. That's usually how it works.